My name is Ronald Melvin.
My name is Rother Boswell.
My name is John Tipton.
My name is Robin Cole.
My name is Charles R. Merkel.
And I'm Nate McLaughlin.
I'm Blanche Valentine, and this is Palm Coast View.
In our podcast today, we are going to have a panel discussion about our local elections and some of the issues surrounding that. We'll all give our perspectives.
Well, it's gratifying to see so many people vying for the different positions to lead our community, and it forces more opinion. It forces more diversity of opinion, which I think is very healthy. If you're going to have boards leading with one particular political view, then we don't need 5 people. We can just elect one person and let them make all the decisions. You need opposing views. You need people who are diametrically opposed to each other on a board to reach your best decisions. I think, that's what I look at. I don't want to see, 5 like-minded people on a board. That's not healthy. That's not healthy for your community.
You know what? I wear out the term diversity. I'm not happy with an entire board of like-minded people because I'm from Jersey. That's corruption. And we do that real well. If you're like-minded, somehow or other collusion just kind of seeps in there, and you only look out for your own personal interest. You lose sight in the community. You really don't want to hear from the community because they may want something other than what you want. And if you're on a board for your own personal agenda and you exclude everything else out, you're not a good candidate for me.
Up till now, I have to admit, I was not deeply involved in the local politics. I was involved in the community, but I didn't give a whole lot of thought to who was in office. And that was just me being mindful of my own business and life. And I'm paying attention now. And I am learning more about the history of Palm Coast, and I'm not liking what I'm seeing. So I too am glad to see people standing up, especially people that are invested in the community and they don't, from what I can tell, they don't have political career aspirations. They honestly want to make a difference, and I am fully on board, and I fully agree. We do need diversity of thought and opinion because there is no one person or one group that has all the answers.
Very good.
And
Very good.
everybody does need to be heard and accounted for and cared for. I want to see just using the word again, the diverse group of people invested in this community to all reach a higher plateau or a higher goal together.
I've not really gotten very involved in a lot of the politics there as well, probably because I don't stay there on a full-time basis. I'm not a full-time permanent resident. I will say, especially like Blanche said, I'm from the north, and you really need to have a diverse group of people running the town in the city. And I think the big question is, which I've been hearing from some people around, is that if you have a city manager, they're the ones that really should be running the show, not the mayor themselves.
I have to agree with what they're saying is that we need diversity. And what I'm finding, the more and more that I learn what's going on in this city, the more and more disturbed I become, because it seems like we have more same-minded people and not people who are really worried about or concerned about the public itself. So I believe we need more diversity like we have, in other areas of life where you have different people with different opinions, and then you have to weigh the whole thing to find out which is best, or come up with a third opinion where you can come up with maybe even a better idea.
When I think about it, my biggest concern is that we have a county and a city of over 100,000 people, and our local politics, from my view, seems to be run kind of like a club or a cult almost, where you have a few personalities with power and influences rested with those few personalities, invested, those few personalities. And I'd like to see us break out of that mentality where we are a city, a county, a jurisdiction that is run consistent with the demographics that are here. That's my biggest concern, is that you have a few people influencing a whole area of over 100,000 diverse people.
What you're looking for in a board, when you have a board that has majority of unanimous votes, you don't have anybody doing any thinking or discussion. A healthy board, a lot of 3-2 votes, every now and again a 4-1 vote because the one person just, you didn't sell them on it, and that's healthy. That, you know, you got a healthy board. If you want to know if you got a healthy board, look at the history, watch the vote counts, you know what you're looking at, and watch who's making the votes. You can tell, I mean, we've all seen it. There's lapdogs, unfortunately, who just go along to get along. You don't need that kind of, that's not healthy for your community. When I was first on the board and commissioners and got on as a Republican, Barbara Ruffles was already there as a Democrat. And I had a Republican friend ask me one time, isn't it difficult to work with Barbara as a Democrat? I said, absolutely not. What that opposition causes you to do is to examine your own beliefs or understandings, because you begin to understand that, oh, there's a different point of view. And what you have is two opinions. And is this one right? Is that one right? What you have with that diversity of opinion is you have that better solution that's in the middle, not necessarily in the middle, but could be one side or the other. But it's healthy to be challenged in your thinking. That's a healthy board where they're challenging each other. Why do you think that? Why did you say that? What do you mean by that? When those questions are happening in a board meeting and clarification questions are being asked, I think you've got a healthy, that's the important, and I'm going to use the word again too, that's the important diversity of opinions in your local leadership.
What a lot of us forget is that the residents of Flagler County grew up accepting anything but diversity. Example, Larry Jones went to, and Larry's not that old, I think Larry's 56. Up until 12th grade, he was in a segregated school. And the only reason why he didn't graduate from a segregated high school was they burnt the school down. And I have to get a copy from this old gentleman in Espanola. There's a Christmas letter that went out in the late 60s, early 70s. It basically told Black folks, if you like living here, don't vote. Now, that's not that long ago. So a lot of people that don't participate grew up worrying about what, and I was driven around the county and seeing remnants of people's homes that were burnt to the ground. The only person that they ever really had that fought hard was a bootlegger. And his claim to fame was he killed the sheriff. This is not that long ago. This is in our lifetime that the powers that be that ran the county basically said, it's our way or no way. And they didn't just shut them up. They ran them out of the county. They couldn't get work. Their kids had trouble in school. I talked to somebody who went to detention at 8 years old with no charges because their father didn't know his place. So even though these people are now in their 60s, they are still fearful, and they have raised their children. Do not rock the vote. So what are you going to do? These are the people that won't register. These are the people that they don't even really want you to visit their house more than once or twice because they're worried about being tainted.
When I talked about diversity, excuse me, I wasn't even thinking about being Jewish. I was thinking about it when Blanche was just talking about it just now. But I grew up learning about all the different religions. Yes, I practiced Judaism, but I learned about all the different religions, and I just think everybody should be included in everything and not left out.
We don't have in this country constitutionally a freedom to be a Christian country. The founding fathers were very careful We have freedom of religion, and we must embrace, in some manner, all religion, all faith. This isn't, I hear it all the time. Oh, this is a Christian country. No, this is a religious country. We have freedom of religion.
We hear that the country is founded on Judeo-Christian principles. That's the thing you hear.
Well, yeah, but you read the Quran. A lot of those principles are found there too.
No, I get that. I'm just saying though that we tend to have a certain political comfort level with Judaism and Christianity today. Today. It's not so much with Islam, our biggest monotheism.
But I think the founding fathers had in mind all sects of different faiths, everyone who had faith. You read a lot of their conversations, you read back, and you see, I mean, obviously, I don't know these men and women that made this all possible, but I do believe that their intent was that you could come to this country, you could be born in this country, and whatever it was that motivated you through faith, their big thing was the acknowledgement that there is a creator. That was their big thing.
One thing I will say is you look at the average age of our commissions, our councils, that demographic in terms of the folks that are on those councils are represented. I don't know about their issues, but as far as their demographic being represented on the council is that age bracket, age level, age demographic, they're well represented.
Okay, you also have to keep in mind that Palm Coast was supposed to be an isolated entity within Flagler County. The residents out in Bunnell and Espanola, Bimini, and all the little communities were warned they were not welcome in Palm Coast. Stay out of Palm Coast. Palm Coast is not for you. Palm Coast was supposed to be a mecca for Northerners to come and reside. Palm Coast was even welcomed in county management in the beginning because it upset the norm. It upset the segregationist norm. And if you talk to people from Bunnell and the outlying little townships, they still don't want any part of Palm Coast.
Segregation, I understand that because I was brought up, raised, and went to school. The whole time I was in school, it was segregated. So I understand, and I understand the fear that those brought up under that situation have, how they were taught. So I understand it very well, and it's a process that you have to go through to change that.
Do you still feel that same fear or apprehension or whatever it is, however you want to term it? And you mentioned a moment ago that it's a process you have to go through. Do you still feel that kind of fear and apprehension on any level? And if so, or if not, excuse me, why and how did you overcome that?
Well, I was brought up that you didn't talk to people or Caucasian. We were taught that was a no. You always call them Mr. or Mrs. I don't care how young or how old they were. So that was something I had to come up with. You didn't date or take out Caucasian females. You didn't talk to them because you could wind up in serious trouble. What still bothers me is police cars. If I'm driving, a police car pulls up behind me, I become frightful. And that's still with me even today, that fear is still there because of what has happened over the years. So yeah, there is still some doubt, apprehension, and everything that's still with me from my childhood.
This is one of the reasons why diversity of view, opinion, of demographic on councils, boards, positions of authority and leadership are important, because that's one of the ways in my mind that we help overcome those concerns. Because we know we have an administrator or we have someone in influence or power that we can appeal to in the event that we feel threatened unjustifiably for whatever reason. And to that end, that's why elections matter.
A thought came to mind, and I'm hoping I'm seeing a transition, because in the past, growing up, it always seemed like people voted, who's going to advance my interest? And of course, the majority is going to win every single time if that's the case. But I believe I'm seeing a shift, like not who's going to advance my interest, but who's going to advance the community's interest. And that is more inclusive of everybody. So
Yep.
I hope I'm seeing that shift. I believe I am.
It's like turning the Titanic. We may hit that iceberg anyways, but we're going to survive. We're going to move forward. The world's going to go forward. And it does appear to me, like I brought up earlier with the watching who's voting from what party, you're seeing that the Democrat Party members are realizing you got to get out, you got to vote, you got to be heard, you've got to keep that opinion on the board. A right opinion and a left opinion are good opinions. Neither one is fully correct. I mean, nobody lives in that world. I mean, that's healthy in their thinking. Healthy thinking is understanding, being challenged in your thought, being challenged in your actions. I was asked one time why the county didn't get something done real quick. And I said, because it's a big boat and you don't want anybody having the power that they can move a community leadership, on a dime. You want plenty of discussion, you want workshops, you want, open debate. You want these things to be talked out thoroughly.
Do you have any closing comments, sir?
Well, I think that we should have diversity, not only on the Flagler level, but on the national level. See, Flagler to me is only a replica of what we see nationally. And if we are to see major changes usually start at the top and work its way down. So what it appears to me is that we have the problem above us, and people of our level is just following what is being taught from above. So I think we need to not only look at Flagler level, but look at the county, the state, the national level to find out what really needs to be done.
Charles.
Going on what Rothar said, I do see a lot of decisions coming from top down, and it's unfortunate those decisions people aren't even allowed to challenge anymore. But I believe change is going to come from the bottom up.
Exactly.
And it's going to start with us right here, right now. When we decide, make a change in our community, and I believe I'm seeing it across different parts of America, that we are ready for change, positive change. I'm not even going to pretend to predict what the end result's going to look like. And it's actually rather exciting because I don't want to go backwards. I want to go forwards, and I want to go locked arm in arm with my neighbors and friends doing that.
So we were all brought up with with beliefs of our parents and our great-grandparents and our great-great-grandparents. And I think in this day and age, because of the way we've been raised, because of different changes that have been happening all around us in the world, we should be able to stop and think outside the box and start trusting our own intuition as to how things should be. And then start also working with others to learn what's necessary for them and help them come up with some better decisions as well. And I think that's the way we should be going, whether it's in Palm Coast or outside of Palm Coast. But we need to start there. We all need to start thinking for ourselves and not just saying, hey, you can't do this because my parents said, that's not the way to go.
And Blanche.
Well, I think that we're kind of poised on a new order coming around. I mean, it's no big secret. America was shaped on segregation. And so as people change, and it's painful, change is painful. We're going to see it. We're going to see it really to a large extent here in Flagler County, because if people start to want to rename things based on the fact that the person, that the school, the park, the street, the whatever it's named for, was not a good person, you're going to have a fight, because people are saying, you're taking away my culture, you're taking away my my heritage. So as much as we want to erase segregation, we're going to have to do it respectfully, because a lot of people, if that's all you know, you don't necessarily know that all of that was bad, because you know, you love your parents, you love your aunts, uncles, or whatever, you love your community. And so you say, oh, they wouldn't do things that were hurtful. Well, if they don't hurt you, of course, you don't know it. So it's going to be a learning situation. It's going to be a lot of compromise to keep things going smoothly and peacefully. It's not going to be a fast turnover. So those that aren't involved for the long haul, they really need to second guess exactly what their part is going to be.
You get the government you vote for. I hear a lot of people, they blame their politicians. Well, the politicians did this, did that. Politicians didn't do anything that we didn't let them do. That's a fact. You own your vote. It's a sacred franchise that we have with one another. And you know something, if you don't vote because there's just nobody to vote for, you'll get up off your couch, click off the TV, and do some research on these people and make your best choice. And I highly recommend, look beyond the like-mindedness. Look for people who have good character. Let me quote Martin Luther King. Let's judge them by the content of their character. If we would do more character voting, we'd be in a safer place. Remember, you get the government that you vote for.
Thank you, Nate. And John.
I will say that we talked about diversity. We focused a lot on diversity today, and what I'd like to see happen is that diversity actually takes place, not for diversity's sake, but because we feel that's the best way for representative government to be run, is to represent all of the folks that are part of that particular community or jurisdiction. That said, that's going to require change, and we talked about change as well. Change being painful in many cases, because along with change comes growth. And so we have to be able to experience or be willing to face whatever pain that comes with the change that's going to be required to take place. That said, we have on August 18th coming up a primary election. And so that's a week from today. Actually, early voting is taking place now. So if you're going to vote early, then so be it. But what I'd like to say about that is that elections do matter. And so as Nate mentioned and as Blanche mentioned, you do get the government that you voted for. So I implore folks that are voters to educate yourself, inform yourself as much as possible about the candidates that are running for office, so that you can make an informed and educated decision, and then know that based on that decision that you made, you can hold those representatives, those folks on those councils and commissions accountable once they're in office. That's the way this process works, and that way we can all experience benefits that come with having diverse councils and commissions.
Well, thank you, John. I know one thing, I'm going to vote. And with that, I leave you this morning, and hopefully we have another subject for next week. Thank you for listening.